The mountain was covered in smoke, not from fire, but from clouds that rolled low, hugging the black rocks like silent waves. The higher commander Jalen climbed, the harder it was to breathe. His boots crunched over ash and gravel. Wind howled in his ears. The sky above was gray and the air smelled like stone and storm. But Jalen didn't stop. He kept walking. He was the only human for hundreds of miles. This place was called Marthak's Spine, home of the Varkan tribes. They did not trust outsiders. They did not answer messages. They sent one reply to Earth's peace request. If your strongest can reach the summit, we will speak. If not, you are not worth our breath. So Jalen climbed. Alone. After 3 hours, he reached a flat stone path. The smoke parted slightly, and he saw tall black pillars ahead, guard posts carved from bone and crystal. 10 alien warriors stood waiting. Their armor was silver and sharp. Their skin was dark blue, and their faces were hidden behind thick helmets. Jalen stopped in front of them. He said nothing. One of them raised a hand. "Do you come with fear, human?" Jalen's voice was calm. "I come with a message." "Then, speak to the mountain," the warrior said, "and see if it listens." The warrior stepped aside. Jalen walked forward, through the pillars, onto the sacred platform at the very peak. There, standing alone, was Lady Vikra. She was tall, taller than any human Jalen had seen. Her cloak was made from scaled leather. Her golden armor glowed faintly. Her eyes were bright and cold, but she was not alone. Behind her, the smoke moved. It twisted, it breathed, and then it roared. The mountain shook. From the shadows stepped a creature so large it barely looked real, covered in black fur and molten red scales, with a head like a wolf and horns like a bull. Its claws dug into the rock. Its mouth opened wide, and it roared again, louder than thunder. Kral, the sacred beast of Vikra. Jalen's ears rang. Dust flew from the cliffs. Even the alien guards knelt. But Jalen stood still. He didn't move. He didn't bow. Vikra stepped forward. "Do you not fear him?" Jalen looked up at the beast, then back at her. "I've seen war. I've seen ships fall from the sky. I've seen children cry in fire. This is not fear. This is power." Vikra narrowed her eyes. "Then show respect." Jalen shook his head. "Respect is not shown by kneeling, it is shown by listening," Kral growled. Vikra raised one hand. The beast stopped. The wind blew. Neither she nor Jalen looked away. "You are bold," she said. "I was chosen for this mission," he replied. "To beg for peace, to build it," he said. Vikra turned slightly. "Why should I trust a human's voice?" "Because I climbed this mountain," Jalen answered. "Not with guns, not with a guard, but with open hands. And if I had let Kral tear you apart, then peace would die with me." Silence. Only the wind spoke. Then Vikra gave a small nod. "You speak with courage, but words are not enough." She stepped aside. "Kneel or not, human, you will face the mountain's truth." Kral stepped forward. Each step shook the stone. His eyes locked on Jalen. He sniffed the air, claws clicking on the ground. Jalen stood his ground. The beast leaned in, hot breath washing over him. Then it stepped past him. It walked to the cliff's edge, sat and stared at the horizon. Vikra raised an eyebrow. "Interesting," she said. The guards relaxed. The smoke cleared slightly. Jalen looked at the beast. He didn't see a threat. "No," Vikra said. He saw something else. "What?" She stared at him. "We'll find out tonight." She turned to her warriors. "Let the humans stay." "To sleep where?" one asked. She pointed toward a jagged trail near the cliffs. "Let him spend the night in Kral's hunting grounds." Jalen didn't argue. He just nodded once. As the sky darkened, he made his way down the narrow path. Behind him, the mountain rumbled softly. Far above, Vikra stood beside her beast. "Why did you spare him?" she whispered. The beast did not answer, but its eyes followed Jalen until he disappeared into the smoke. Night came fast on the mountain. The sky above turned dark gray. Cold wind howled between the sharp rocks. Thin mist wrapped around everything like a ghost's breath. Jalen walked slowly through the narrow trail Vikra had pointed to. Crawl's hunting grounds. He didn't know what to expect. A beast's nest? A trap? A test? But he didn't ask questions. He just walked. The ground under his boots was rough. Broken bones, dried blood, sharp stones. He passed claw marks on trees. Deep scratches in rocks. This was not a place for peace. This was a place where even warriors vanished. Still, Jalen did not turn back. He found a wide, flat rock beside a thick tree and dropped his pack. He took out a heat rod, stuck it in the ground, and lit a small survival flame. Not too bright, just enough to see. He sat down, arms on his knees, eyes open. He waited. Far above on the high ledge, Vikra stood beside Crawl. "He will run," one of her guards said. Vikra didn't answer. "He will scream before the night ends." Still, she said nothing. Crawl didn't growl. Didn't move. Just stared into the dark. Watching. Listening. Waiting. Hours passed. The fire burned low. Jalen didn't sleep. He listened to the sounds, small animals running in the grass, wind slipping through the cliffs, and then a deep breath. Behind him, he turned slowly. Two glowing yellow eyes stared at him from the shadows. Crawl had come. The beast moved like smoke, silent and huge. Jalen did not reach for a weapon. He didn't run. Instead, he spoke. "I know what this place is." Crawl stepped closer. "I know you've killed here before." The beast's breath was loud now. Hot. Close. Jalen reached into his bag, slowly, and pulled out a piece of dried meat. He laid it on the stone. "For you?" he said. Crawl didn't touch it. Not yet. He leaned in, nose near Jalen's chest, sniffed, growled, low and long. Jalen didn't blink. He whispered, "I'm not here to take anything from you." Crawl tilted his head. "I'm here because your world is changing," Jalen said. "And I want to know if change is possible." Finally, Crawl stepped back. He didn't eat the meat, but he didn't attack either. He simply walked a circle around the fire, then sat down across from Jalen, eyes still locked on him. Jalen let out a breath he didn't know he was holding. "You're smarter than they think," he said. Crawl blinked once. High above, Vikra saw the faint glow of the fire. Her guard beside her looked confused. "He still lives?" Vikra nodded. "He does not act like prey." Back on the trail, Jalen reached into his bag again and took out a data crystal. He clicked it. A small blue map glowed above his hand. Stars, planets, human borders, trade lines. "I came here to talk peace," he said to Crawl. "But I can't do it from a chair. I have to do it from the dirt." Crawl said nothing, but his body was calm. Tail low, claws relaxed. He listened. Suddenly, a snap behind the tree. Jalen stood up. From the shadows, a large black wolf-like creature rushed toward them. Its eyes glowed red and its jaws were wide open. A wild predator. Jalen had no time to think, no time to run. But before the beast could strike, Crawl moved. With a roar like a falling mountain, Crawl slammed into the creature. His jaws snapped, down on its neck. One bite. It was over. The body hit the ground. Crawl turned back to Jalen. The human didn't move. He just looked at the dead beast, and then at the one who saved him. "Thank you," he said. Crawl snorted softly. Then, he finally ate the dried meat. By morning, when the sun touched the top of the cliffs, Vikra rode down with her warriors. She expected to find bones. Instead, she found Jalen. Sitting beside the massive beast, both of them quiet and alive. Her eyes widened. Crawl didn't stand. He didn't growl. He simply looked at her, then looked back at the human. Vikra dismounted slowly. She walked toward Jalen. You survived. Jalen nodded. So did he. She crossed her arms. Why didn't he kill you? Jalen met her eyes. Because I didn't treat him like a weapon. For a long moment, no one spoke. Even the guards stayed still. Then Vikra said softly, Perhaps I was wrong about you. The morning wind was sharp as blades. Commander Jalen stood beside the great beast Crawl, the mountain's feared guardian. The creature had slept beside him, protected him from a wild predator, and now it did not leave. The warriors of the Farkan tribe stared in silence. No one spoke. No one moved. Even Vikra, proud and fierce, could not hide the flicker of confusion in her eyes. She stepped forward slowly, golden armor glowing in the rising sun. You shared fire with him, she said. Jalen nodded. He allowed it. He killed to save you? Yes. She studied him closely. And you are still standing. I didn't raise a weapon, he said calmly. That was the difference. Crawl stood now, tall, strong, his yellow eyes. Watched everyone, no leash, no chain, no threat, but none dared get close except Jalen. Vikra gestured to her guards. Let him be. They hesitated. She raised her voice. Let him be. The warriors stepped back. Vikra walked to Jalen's side. Walk with me, she said. Jalen followed. Crawl followed too. They walked a narrow trail along the cliff, stone crumbling beneath their feet, wind pulling at their cloaks. I've led this mountain for 12 years, Vikra said. I've fought beasts, bandits, and cowards, but I have never seen Crawl bow his head. Jalen looked over. He didn't bow. No? She asked. No. He chose to sit beside me. Vikra's mouth twitched, a hint of a smile or maybe doubt. He is ancient, she said. My ancestors raised him. He chooses who lives and who dies. He fears no one. Jalen looked forward. I don't want his fear. I want his trust. They reached a high ledge overlooking the valley. Smoke from cooking fires curled upward from the lower camps. Children's laughter echoed faintly below. Vikra sat on a flat stone. So what do you really want, human? Jalen sat beside her. I want an alliance, he said. Trade, peace, shared borders. Not because we're weak, but because we're tired of being alone. Vikra didn't answer. She stared out across the clouds. Behind them, Crawl lay down, like a stone statue, eyes closed but not sleeping. After a long silence, Vikra said, Your kind came before. They made promises. Then they broke them. I'm not them. No, she said. You are not. But their ghosts walk behind you. Later that afternoon, Vikra left him alone on the ledge with Crawl. I want to see how far he'll follow you, she said. You have until moonrise. Jalen raised an eyebrow. And then? If you're still standing, we'll talk again. She walked away. Hours passed. Jalen and Crawl wandered the upper paths. The wind howled. Birds circled above. Crawl walked slowly, always ahead, but never too far. Once the beast stopped and turned his head, waiting. Jalen followed. They came to a broken tree, twisted from age and storms. A nest sat in its branches. Two small creatures lay inside, crying weakly. Crawl stopped. Jalen looked at him. Yours? Crawl didn't move. Jalen climbed up carefully and fed the tiny creatures a bit of his emergency food. Crawl watched in silence. When Jalen returned to the ground, he patted the beast's shoulder, gently. You care for more than war, he said softly. That night under the stars, Jalen made a fire near a stone pool. Crawl lay near him, tail curled, head resting on his paws. The stars reflected in the water. Jalen spoke without looking up. My people think beasts only follow orders. But you think. He threw a small stone into the pool. You choose. Crawl lifted his head. His eyes caught the firelight. Then, with slow steps, he walked over, and sat beside Jalen, not as a weapon, but as a companion. From the high tower, Vikra watched it all. A whisper escaped her lips. He didn't tame the beast. The beast tamed him. The morning sky over Marthak's spine was filled with fog. Cold mist rolled down the cliffs, hiding the sharp rocks and steep drops below. Commander Jalen stood at the edge of a narrow stone bridge that hung between two peaks. It was old, cracked, and shaking from the strong winds that never rested. This was the Bridge of Roars. No human had ever stepped on it. Not and returned. Vikra stood beside him, her gold armor shining through the gray mist. Behind her, the giant beast Kral sat still, his yellow eyes watching without blinking. Around them, warriors from the Varkan tribe gathered. No one cheered. No one spoke. This was not a trial of strength. It was a test of spirit. Vikra raised one hand. This bridge was built long ago by my people's first leader. He said only the brave can cross it, for the mountain listens, and the mountain does not lie. She looked Jalen in the eye. You say you want peace. You say you do not kneel. Then show us. Jalen nodded once. Then I walk. He stepped onto the bridge. The stone groaned beneath his feet. Wind rushed up from the cliffs, pulling at his jacket, trying to throw him off balance. One step, then another. Slow, careful, each step chosen. Below him, there was nothing but clouds, and the sound of wind screaming between sharp rocks. Halfway across, the bridge shook hard. A section of stone near the end cracked and fell, tumbling into the misty void below. Gasps echoed behind him, but Jalen didn't stop. Vikra narrowed her eyes. He won't make it, one warrior said. Kral growled low. Vikra said nothing. A sudden blast of wind slammed into Jalen. He dropped to one knee, arms spread wide, gripping the stone. The bridge cracked again. The left side dropped an inch. Jalen looked up at the far edge, just 20 feet away now. He stood, he walked, and with a final leap, he reached the other side. Silence. Then slow footsteps. Vikra walked across the bridge. Fearless, fast, sure-footed. She reached Jalen and stood before him. You passed, she said. I wasn't sure I would, he admitted. You almost fell, he smiled. So did your trust. She looked at him for a long time, then said softly, Come, there is one more thing you must know. She led him through a narrow tunnel in the mountain. Kral followed close behind, his claws tapping softly on the stone. They reached a chamber filled with glowing walls. Carvings of ancient beasts, humans, and stars danced in flickering torchlight. This is our true history, Vikra said. Long ago, your kind and mine stood side by side. Jalen touched one of the carvings, a human hand shaking an alien one. But something changed, she continued. Greed, fear, and the beasts that once protected both sides were used to destroy. Jalen turned. And Kral, he remembers, Vikra said. More than I do. He carries the memory of that betrayal. She faced him fully now. So when he chose to spare you, I didn't just see mercy. I saw the past forgiving the present. Kral walked to Jalen's side and then slowly lowered his head, not in fear, not in submission, but in trust. The chamber filled with a strange silence, a sacred silence. Vikra stepped forward and placed her hand on Jalen's shoulder. You've passed the test of strength, she said. Now the question is, what will you do with it? Jalen looked at her. At sunrise, he said, we speak of peace, not just between tribes and humans, but between past and future. From the shadows, a warrior watched. His eyes burned with jealousy. He turned and walked away, gripping his blade tight. He did not want peace. Outside, thunder rolled in the distance. But it wasn't a storm. The mountain was warning them. Something was coming. Something deeper than war. The sky above Marthak's spine had turned dark. Clouds gathered. Thunder rolled across the peaks, low and steady, like the breath of something ancient waking beneath the earth. In the mountain's central hall, Torches burned around a wide stone circle. Warriors lined the edges, silent and armed. At the center stood Commander Jalen, shoulders squared, hands empty. Before him was Chief Drovek, a rival leader of the western tribes, and watching from above, high on the ledge, Vikra and her beast, Kral. "You do not belong here, human," Drovek growled, stepping into the circle. His armor was black and spiked, and his voice cut through the silence. "You speak of peace like it's a toy, but this mountain was built on fire and bone." Jalen didn't flinch. "That's why I'm here, to stop more bones from falling," Drovek sneered. "Then fight me. If you win, we listen. If I win, the alliance ends." Vikra stood and spoke. "This is not your counsel, Drovek." "It is now," he snapped. "Your beast listens to him, not to you. Your warriors speak of a human in the same breath as a god." He pointed at Jalen. "Let's see if he bleeds." The circle cleared. Jalen didn't wear armor. He held only a wooden staff, a training weapon Vikra had offered the day before. "I'm not here to kill," Jalen said. "Then you're already dead," Drovek replied. The battle began. Drovek charged like a hammer, swinging a heavy blade that cracked stone with each strike. Jalen dodged, slid, rolled. He struck with his staff, fast, precise, never to wound, only to hold ground. He fought. With discipline, not fury, not fear, the crowd murmured. The warriors watched closely. Vikra narrowed her eyes. Kral stood, muscles tight. Drovek grew angrier. "Fight like a real man." Jalen didn't answer. He just stood his ground. Then Drovek made a mistake. He overreached. His blade slammed into the floor and stuck for a second. Jalen used that second. One swift move. Crack! His staff hit Drovek's leg. The chief dropped to one knee. Jalen stepped back, holding the staff out, not as a weapon now, but like a shield. "I won't finish you," he said, "because that's not the point." The silence was heavier than stone. Drovek looked up, breathing hard, his eyes burned. "I will not bow to you." Jalen nodded. "Then bow to reason." Just then, a roar. But not from Kral. The mountain itself rumbled. Dust fell from the ceiling. Vikra stood quickly. An echo quake. Her voice was tight. "They happened deep below, but this one is near." The floor cracked slightly. A red light flickered from the crevice. Kral let out a warning growl. All eyes turned. But instead of running, he leapt from the ledge, straight into the circle. Warriors gasped. Some stepped back. Kral did not look at Vikra. He didn't look at Drovek. He walked slowly to Jalen and stood at his side, one claw in front of the other. He faced the tribe. The fire reflected in his golden eyes. The meaning was clear. He had chosen. Not the strongest, not the loudest, not the one who ruled with fear, but the human, the one who listened, fought with mercy, and stood without hate. Vikra stepped forward, voice strong. "Do you all see now? He does not tame the beast. The beast follows him by choice." She raised her hand toward Jalen. "By our laws, the guardian's choice is sacred. It speaks for the spirits of the mountain." Drovek struggled to his feet. He looked at Kral, then at Jalen. His face twisted. Then slowly, he dropped his blade. "I lost," he said. "But the mountain still groans. This peace you speak of, will it save us from what's coming?" Jalen looked at the cracked floor. "I don't know." Thunder shook the hall again. Warriors shouted. One cried, "The floor! It's splitting!" Vikra drew her blade. "Seal the hall. Prepare the lower passages." But Jalen stared at the red glow beneath the stone. "No," he said softly. "It's not just the mountain shaking." He looked up at Vikra. "It's your history waking up." The floor of the great hall cracked again. This time it wasn't just dust that fell. Flames. Thin lines of glowing red crawled through the stone like veins. Heat rushed up from below. The air changed, thick, sharp, almost alive. Commander Jalen backed away slowly, staff still in hand. Beside him, the beast Kral growled low, ears flat, tail stiff. Vikra shouted commands from the upper ledge. Clear the children. Get the elders to the sky path. But deep below, something was moving. Something older than the tribes. Older than Crawl. Older than Vikra's people had memory for. A tremor hit. The ground shook hard. A chunk of the far wall collapsed, revealing a hidden tunnel glowing with pulsing red light. The room went silent. Jalen turned to Vikra. "What's down there?" She gritted her teeth. "A prison." "For what?" She didn't answer. Crawl moved first. The beast walked toward the tunnel without fear. Not fast, not slow, like someone who knew what was coming. Jalen followed. Vikra hesitated, then grabbed her blade and joined them. "Sealed chambers," she said, quietly. "From before the fall. My ancestors built the mountain over it to lock it away." "What did they lock away?" Jalen asked. Vikra looked ahead. "You'll see." They entered the tunnel. The walls were rough and hot. Old carvings, pulsed faintly on the stone, strange symbols. Ones even Vikra didn't know. The path twisted downward. The heat grew worse. Then they saw it. At the center of a wide, open cavern, there was a massive shell, like a cocoon made of black stone, chained with metal roots and glowing with magma lines. It cracked. Boom! A piece fell off. A wave of heat slammed into them, and then a screech, sharp and deep and full of rage, the kind of sound that didn't just hurt ears wherein it shook your bones. From inside the cocoon, something pulled itself free. A creature made of fire and stone, shaped like a dragon but with no wings, its body twisted and scorched, eyes bright. Like suns. Jalen stepped back. "That's not a beast." Vikra said, "No, it's a worm. Long ago, the worms ruled the skies. They burned forests, dried oceans, shattered moons. The Varkan tribes had given their strongest to Kral's kind to end the war. They had won. But not by killing all the worms. They had buried one. Here." The worm rose, chains falling from its body like ash. It opened its mouth, and the walls turned orange. Kral stepped forward. He roared. The worm roared back. Vikra grabbed Jalen's arm. "We have to leave. Now." "No," Jalen said. "If we run, it follows. If it follows, it destroys your people." He turned to Kral. The beast looked at him. 1 second. 2. Then nodded. Kral charged. The two giants slammed into each other. Kral's claws tearing into stone flesh, the worm's burning breath setting the air on fire. The cavern shook. Jalen and Vikra were thrown back. Rocks rained from above. Kral fought with everything he had. But the worm was wild, reborn, full of old fury. Jalen got to his feet and shouted, "Vikra, your ancestors locked this thing up. How?" "There's a seal," she yelled. "A stone core inside its chest. Break it." Jalen didn't wait. He ran. While the monsters fought, Jalen climbed a ledge above them, jumped from rock to rock, finally landing on the worm's back. Its skin burned hot, but he held on. He crawled toward the glowing center of its chest. The seal looked like a sun inside cracked glass. He pulled a short blade from his belt, not for killing, but for breaking. He slammed it into the seal, once, twice. The worm screamed. Kral bit down on its neck, holding it still. Crack. The seal shattered, light exploded. The worm froze. Its body crumbled, shaking the cavern with its death. Ash fell like snow. Jalen dropped to the ground. Kral stumbled, burned and tired, but alive. Vikra rushed in. "You could have died." He nodded. "But I didn't." She looked at him, really looked, at the human who refused to kneel, who stood beside her beast, and faced a monster from the past. "You carry fire," she said. "But not to destroy." Jalen smiled. "Only to light the path." The mountain was quiet. No more shaking, no more fire, no more roaring from deep beneath the stone. The ancient worm was gone, reduced to dust and silence. Its ashes still floated in the air like gray snowflakes. The warriors of Marthak's spine stood gathered outside the cavern, watching with wide eyes. No one spoke. They had seen something impossible, A human had stood beside the great beast Crawl and survived. Commander Jalen stepped out of the tunnel, covered in ash and sweat. His jacket was torn, his hands were burned, but he stood tall. Crawl limped beside him, his body bruised, his fur scorched, but his head was still high. His golden eyes still sharp, and Vikra followed them both. Her sword was sheathed, her eyes calm. When the crowd saw them, they dropped to one knee, not out of fear, but out of respect. One warrior spoke first. He faced the fire, another added, he stood with the beast. A third whispered, he did not kneel before power, yet power stood with him. Jalen looked around. This wasn't victory, he said. It was survival. It was choice. He turned to the children standing. In the front row, peace doesn't mean there are no monsters. It means we face them together. Vikra raised her voice so all could hear. You came here a stranger, human. You climbed our mountain with no army, no blade, no fear. You earned my beast's trust, not by fighting him, but by standing beside him. She unsheathed a dagger from her side, a curved silver blade with her family's crest. She held it out to Jalen. He took it. Vikra placed one hand on his shoulder. From this day, she said, you are no longer just a voice. From the stars, you are sky-blooded. A loud cheer rose from the tribe. Some cried, some smiled. Even the old warriors bowed their heads. Crawl turned and walked to the edge of the cliff. He looked down at the world below. For the first time in years, he howled. But it was not a roar of warning. It was not anger. It was a song, and the mountain echoed it back. Later that night, fires burned across the high camp. Music played. Smoke from roasted meats rose into the sky. Jalen sat beside a fire, drinking something warm and sweet. His burns were wrapped. His breath was steady. Vikra sat beside him, watching the stars. She asked, will you return to your people? He nodded. Yes, they need to hear the truth. About us? About the day a beast protected a human, and a warrior chose peace over pride. She smiled. And when they don't believe you? He looked at her. Then I'll bring them here. She laughed. Let them climb the mountain first. A child approached. A little girl with bright purple eyes. She handed Jalen a carved wooden figure, a small version of Crawl, with a human beside him. Jalen took it carefully. Thank you, the child asked. Are you a hero now? He looked at the figure, then at the fire, then at Vikra. No, he said softly. I'm just someone who didn't run. High above, Crawl lay on a cliff ledge, eyes half closed. The wind brushing through his fur. He listened to the laughter, to the drums, to peace. And he rested. Not as a weapon, not as a guardian, but as part of the story. And in time, that story spread. They would say, a mountain once shook with a beast's roar, but a human did not kneel, and the beast, instead of breaking him, stood with him.